If you want to be more efficient and effective while running your business with more inner peace, then working on the core of your issues instead of putting on a band-aid is vital. Welcome to the Business Brain Podcast.
I'm your host, Esty Rapport, and here to help you improve your 28 cognitive functions, the 28 things that make up thinking. In each episode, we'll discuss a real-life challenge, why you might be struggling with it, and give you practical strategies so all areas of your life will improve.
As an event specialist, Jay worked always required him to be on the road. While Jay loved his business, the people, the places, and even all the last minute stress, one part of the job that Jay really didn't like was how lost he got in every new city. If Jay wasn't in an Uber, he was lost. Whether it was driving or by foot, his sense of space was low. This not only caused much frustration, but also wasted a ton of time trying to get to the right place. By improving the core issue, the thinking skill behind this problem, Jay had a much easier time getting around and spending his time on what he really wanted to do. If you're experiencing something similar, I'm here to tell you, you do not have to struggle forever. In this episode 485 of the Business Brain Podcast, I'm going to share with you the exact steps of what you can do to have your own transformation. But first, do you struggle with procrastination, distraction, time management, or overwhelm? What if it was no longer a struggle, and not because of some superficial hack, but rather because your brain just no longer struggles with it? It's possible because we can create new neural connections in your brain where these challenges are no longer a challenge. Learn more about how we can work together to make this happen at lifepixuniversity.com/OYB. That's LifePix, P-I-X, university.com/OYB. While you are doing any task, you, without even realizing it, are using your 28 thinking skills. When the thinking skills you need to use are strong, doing the task happens easily. When the thinking skills you need to use are weak, doing the task will be a challenge. The struggle that Jay had came from a weak thinking skill of orientation in space. Orientation in space is a thinking skill related to anything space, including knowing left and right, reading maps, knowing how much space something takes up, following or giving directions. You can be good in one part of orientation in space, but struggle with another. Jay, for example, was really good at seeing how much space an item takes up and how to set up the room in a way that makes it feel roomy. Remember, he's a party planner. He's been doing this a lot. However, anything related to maps, including following Google Maps or Waze, those sort of things were always a challenge. So here are three things we did to help Jay improve his orientation in space. So the part of orientation in space that Jay was struggling with. Number one, had Jay always look for points of references when walking or driving. So I'd have Jay look out while he's walking or driving for different landmarks to help him figure out where he is. For example, one straight over from the hotel, there is this boutique restaurant, or to the right of the venue, there is a Hilton hotel. Number two, I had Jay add to his SOP of things to do before he goes to the location to take a couple of minutes to look at the map. Yep. Open up Google Map on your computer and actually get familiar with the area. So zoom in, and see what suggestions does Google Map give you about the place, which stores are in the area, which restaurants, which hotels, which landmarks are in the area. This way, when you're looking at it zoomed out from the big picture, your brain can connect those dots and have an easier time. So you're like, okay, right near the park, there is this little cafe, and 2 doors down from that cafe, there's this, and around the corner from the cafe, there is the hotel that I'm staying at. And when you get to see it on a paper or on your computer, and you get to zoom out and then you can make those connections of dots, then when you go see it in real life, you're like, hey, I remember that right near the park, there is that cafe, and you can use that information to help you get around. And number three, the last thing I had Jay do is that every time he'd go out to a place, to try to go a different way. So if he has to go from his hotel to the venue twice a day, then every time he should go in a different way. This helps make the connections in your brain on how the streets are connected and where things are. So often we're like, oh, I know how to get there. And we know that one way, that one whole direction, but we don't know the whole rest of the area. My brain gets very stuck in that way. And as soon as we're not in that way, we don't know what to do. But every time we have to go a different way, then your brain says like, oh yeah, I know that on this main street, that is where I need to go. And that cafe is near the park, right? And it gets to make all those connections together. Now, sometimes we can't do this when we're super stressed and we need to run, get to the event place, or there's stuff going on and it's like, okay, just go and get there. Right now is not the time to work on orientation in space. But you could find a time when to yes to it, then it will help you with that thinking skill, and over time it will get easier. Personally, what I like to do is whenever I'm in a new place, every morning when I do my run, I like to do my run in a different route. That way, when I'm calm in this run state of mind, my brain can start making the connections on how the streets are and where things going, so that way I can get familiar with the place. And as usual, over time, as you do these things, you develop the thinking skill of orientation in space, and it becomes easier. Improving orientation in space takes time, as it is a more abstract thinking skill. Your challenge is to do these 3 things whenever you go to a new place, and pretty soon you'll start seeing improvements. Number 1, as you walk around and as you drive, look for point of references that can help you. Number 2, before you go there, before you go out, take a few minutes to look at a Google map. Zoom out, see the whole place, and then zoom in and see the little points of references and icons that you can use to help you. Number 3, every time you go to a place, take a new route so your brain can start making the connections on how this place works. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye for now.
That's all for this episode of the Business Brain Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please share it with 2 of your business friends so they too can gain from it, and you'll be helping us reach our goal of 1 million downloads by the end of 2025. Cheers to peak brain performance.